You have to know the material. You got to kind of dig it out yourself. So I think it'd be a very good idea to read all these chapters because I've got a paper copy at the house, and I guess what I've got laid out in my den. The chapters and I'm reading them all, flipping them as I go through. So it's a new book for me, so I'm going with y'all. I am very happy with this book. I talked to Sarah Maddox, which is at the Soda Center, and she's the majors teacher up there. And I helped her get her job 15 years ago. She teaches more students than anybody else in major biology. She teaches online, so she spent her whole year redoing the online class, like I've been redoing this class. So we've had a lot of work we had to do, and we both agree this is a much better book than another book. She just reads a lot better. You read the chapter and you have an idea what's important, right? The other book, you'd read it and go, I would read it and go, what do they want students to know? But if I don't know what they know, you sure ain't gonna know what they know. Except a couple of y'all way smarter than me. That hurts me off. There are geniuses in here. It's not, I had to talk to people smarter than me, but all. Okay, for those watching the video, we had a great question here. She was asking about the final test. You know, we're gonna have two finals, right? One on written short answer questions, right? I'll pull at least one out of every chapter. But the other part is I'm gonna make a test. I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna go in there and pull chapters out of the test bank, questions off the test bank from each chapter. We'll have 100 of them, and you'll have an hour to do them. Y'all do it easily, do an hour, but I'm not gonna have a practice test because that turns into this memorizing. You know, where you just take it along to you, teaches you all that. And I'm fine with that. That's what I do in no major biology. If you take my online no major biology class, take the practice test, you make an A, you will make an A, it's the same test. But I want y'all just to kind of see some questions and see if you really caught some stuff. And then like I did at the midterm, I added 10 points, right? Or some maybe 15, whatever I did. And so we actually have much higher grades in this paper this time than we did 2 years ago. I'm just saying. But I think it's also COVID factor and everything else, right? So, but y'all really, I'm worried about y'all. I think we did a good job, but I'm just worried that the rigor, we haven't been as hard as we would be. We've still I think grades are better than they were because we're giving y'all a little COVID curve because it's just been crazy. It's just been the most psychotic year of my 30-year teaching here and 4 years at Ole Miss. Okay, grad school. So it's been nuts. Okay, crazy. And I can only imagine how this for y'all. So it's way crazy for y'all. At least some of y'all have never done nothing else, right? It's like, you know, for the freshmen, it's like, you really don't know what real college is yet. Okay. But anyway, but get this, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it. Okay, but this is actually one of my favorite chapters of the book about the endocrine system. Okay, and that's what I did my research in. So you had to know, and I'm not going to read all this, but one question I had was those are endocrine exocrine glands. Hormones are chemicals made by a cell, like the pancreas, and they are released into the bloodstream, and they travel through the blood, and they go to a cell somewhere else, leave the blood, and bind to a receptor on the surface, or go into the cell and bind the receptor inside the cell and make it do something we're not normally do. Okay? And so this is a second way to control the body, right? And what was the first way? Brain and nerves, right? The difference is brain and nerves are actual extensions of cytoplasmic extensions of nerve cells called axons. So all of our nerves are actually extensions of these motor neurons, and then they do what on the cell? They release, remember, neurotransmitters on their target. Well, guess what? A neurotransmitter ain't much difference between neurotransmitters and hormones. They're very similar. They're chemicals that bind the receptors and trigger a cell to do something. Or in the case of the dopamine, what? Don't feel pain. So some of them make you not do things. You know, like stop doing what you're doing. Okay. And so they affect cells. And so my first question here, and I did answer this the other day, I'm going to answer for y'all since y'all are super cool, is why do you think God has an endocrine system? And there's a really cool anatomy reason. It would be impossible to run a nerve to every cell in your body to tell it to eat sugar. I mean, you'd be the size of a whale. So God uses blood, which is what? The medium to feed everybody, get everybody nutrients and stuff. And these chemicals can go through the blood, so they're not actually wired like a old phone line. They're cellular in the blood. It's just a chemical in the blood that affects everybody. And there's about 25 major hormones, probably 15 or 20 affect every cell. So you would be the size of a whale if you have 15 nerves going to every 100 trillion cells in your body. I mean, it's a physically anatomically impossibility. So God had to have another system for the brain to still control the body with these chemicals called hormones, right? To do big, broad things like growth, to determine your rate of metabolism, stuff like that. Okay, and we're going to go back over these. I'm going to kind of walk you through quickly, but that's a big question. And you can watch the video So they answered 1, 2, 3, very quick, 1 and 2, very quickly there. And then, but the question also that's kind of cool, there they are, there's all your endocrine glands, and we went over all these, and we're actually in the process, we're going to catch up at the thyroid, basically start going through all that random glands, you know, the random ones. But we spent quite a bit of time on the pituitary gland because it makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8 of them. Okay, and we'll see it again. We'll do a quick overview. Had too much fun about pheromones. Okay, y'all can watch the video, but I spent way too much time yesterday talking about pheromones. I think they are human pheromones. We know they exist. I think one of the coolest things, I actually met the author of the book of this block. I can't say his last name, but Mr. Watkins, whatever the heck, he's been here 4 or 5 times trying to get us to use his book finally. But I love this comment here that I don't know if y'all saw this, but women, you girls, if y'all are doing together all year, your period sinks. Y'all, and if you got 2 or 3 sisters and y'all live together, you will the pheromones between y'all will make y'all periods get insane. So y'all all have periods pretty much the same week or so. It's crazy. So there's a lot, once again, a lot of odds we don't understand. But I think there's pheromones and attraction. And I think some people give off, you don't like them, you're like this, like, I don't like that person, and you're just judging somebody without even knowing them, you know, and then other people give you this calmness. I believe that. I mean, I know like I have really good relationships with animals. I met one dog that didn't lick my hand first time they see me. That's Miss Green's dog. Went to her house one time, she had cancer or something, she had cancer. She had surgery for tumor. And we brought her food, and the dog went nuts, like chewing on my pants. And she'd been talking about how sweet her little dog is. I said, the dog is crazy. Okay. She'd been talking for 5 years about this wonderful dog of hers. I'm like, that dog is right. Okay. Anyway, but some people, you have people that come to your house and the dog go, watch them people. They may be evil, right? I mean, the dog just don't like them at all, you know. Taking the cell phone down 911, right? Whatever. Anyway, but pheromones are out there, and we'll talk about them. But that would be a type of chemical hormone that's in the air that we transmit through the air that our nose and stuff detect. Okay, so our next question, though, I want to hit this real quick. This is important because the guys won a Nobel Prize for this in the late 80s. We didn't know how hormones work, and come to find out that and it's got to do with the chemistry. There are 4 organic groups, right? Sugars, proteins, fats, and nucleic acids. Hormones are either peptide or amino acid protein derivatives, pretty much, or they are a steroid. And a steroid is a lipid. And steroids, because they are fat, they go through the cell membrane, chemically they mix, so they go straight through the cell. So here it is, real quick. Protein hormones are made by their gland, they go to the blood, they go to the organ, they are lipids, water soluble, they can't get through the fats, so they bind to receptors that trigger a second messenger to be produced. And the first one discovered was cyclic AMP, Nobel Prize for that. And the first messenger was the hormone itself. So they kind of play on words. And then that second messenger triggers an intercellular event to occur. For example, insulin binds to your receptors on the surface of the cell, tells the cell to endocytose sugar. Eat sugar. Glucagon tells them to chunk sugar out. So those are 2 very important hormones to maintain blood sugar levels in all your cells. Okay. Almost all of them do this one. They have discovered several other ones. I think 3 or 4 other second messengers, but that's the first one. Probably 10, 15 hormones use that one. That's the most famous one. And that's the mechanism I was doing research on when I was in grad school. We played around with this mechanism. Okay, the second one, steroid hormones, because of their chemical nature, they go through the cell membrane, through the nuclear membrane, which is also possible with lipid bilayer, and they can bind to receptors. And in this case, I hate to cuss, 2 cuss words, transcription, translation of a protein, right? So they can turn the genome. So I always pick on somebody to see, but I'll be nice today because I think I know everybody here, but I don't know y'all well enough to really, I do Nathan, okay, but I need the girl, okay, because I had Nathan last year. But basically, last night, Nathan and me and my guy, the 2, 3 guys here, while we were sleeping last night, our testicles made 10,000 pounds. It went to my bloodstream, went up to my face, and went to the cells in my face and said, grow diaphragmal hair. Just like that, turned it on and made hair. You girls didn't do that last night, probably because, I don't know for a fact, but most likely none of y'all have a pair of testicles dangling between your legs. I'm assuming no. Okay, but it could be. Okay, could be. In that case, you had shaved this morning. Okay. And now we're going to get to this a little bit today because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but we got all this transgender stuff going on, right? Okay, so you got to be very careful how you say that, right? I mean, I've got the friends of mine that told me that they'll call me he or she, we're they. And I'm like, okay. But I still love you. And a very good friend of mine that was in my youth group, and she put on Facebook like a year ago that she was transitioning to a boy. And it shocked her that I came out on Facebook and said, well, I love you anyway. You always have a home, and I love you, whoever you are, okay? And then so when I saw her, we hugged, and she came to the wedding. Her brother got married, and after went to the wedding, and I said, I only promise, man, I don't mean to be ugly with you. She wants to be called like Thomas or something. I said, but why didn't you just go with Sam? Since you already, your name was Samantha. I thought you like me, and I made a joke. I said, well, if I go transgender and fight to a girl, I don't have to change my name. So I got the unisex name. I'm good. I'm Robin. Robin can do it away, right? And I thought, she laughed and she said, yeah, I just wanted a complete change. And then she goes to something else. I don't know, it was like Chester or something like way different than sound. But anyway, but she feels like she was a boy her whole life, and I believe her. I'm not going to argue with her about that. That kind of shocked her. It did shock her for me because she had me for dispatch. She was in this baby body bag, and she knows where I stand on that. I think there are people that, now here's the part that will hurt somebody's feelings. I don't hurt your feelings, but that's not normal, okay? That's abnormal, okay? Not saying it don't exist, but it's not the correct, not what's supposed to happen. But there's a lot of things in life that happen that are not normal, right? I am abnormal in many ways. I didn't have puberty. I was 19. That was pretty wild, right? That made dating in high school very difficult, right? I'm just saying I grew 7 inches first year of college. I was 5 foot tall in the 5th grade and the senior year. So I had something wrong, obviously, with me, and I didn't know who to go to the doctor. And my parents, like, whatever, they didn't know who to go to the doctor. So we were just country folk, you know. I sat in this room 15 years ago. The girl sitting right where you are. We were talking about this topic, and she's like, I'm Turner syndrome. And I went, wow, that's so cool. You sure you don't mind talking about that in the class? And she said, no, I need to talk about it because I didn't find out until last year. And her parents, and they were just still college grader. Yeah, I love everybody on Disney. They were poor, very poor immigrants to America, and her family didn't have medical access. We don't have freaking social medicine, which we should have in this country. It's a whole other story. Don't get me started. And so she went to the doctor at 18 because she never had a period. And that is someone that's XO. And they're the only people living on earth that have 45 chromosomes. So this is a girl that is not a complete woman. And I was very careful what I said. It's a beautiful girl. She's a beautiful Hispanic lady. And she said, I found out last year, so I've been taking estrogen for a year to give me secondary sexual characteristics, which she should be taking because she is a girl. She just did not completely develop as a girl. She didn't have any ovaries, has vagina, they have vaginas. None of them have ever been able to have a kid. Because they're usually missing ovaries, or even sometimes the uterus is not there. And they're very, very, very small. They have in the book, it's in the book, they have no secondary, no female characteristics like, the hips and the body, no breast development. They just really don't. And a lot of them have like a real, like almost a web neck. No normal intelligence, normal lifespan, everything. And I say that because I'm a father of 2 daughters, right? But you think men are more important than women? I got one for you. XO is a woman that lives normal. YO is a dead baby that's never been born. So life cannot exist. Humans don't exist without one egg. So praise women. Okay, God bless y'all. Superior. Y'all are superior to men. It's real simple for me, right? XO lives, can't have a baby. YO ain't never been lived, ain't never been born. So it's not enough DNA in a Y to sustain life. You got to have one. I got one. Y'all got 2 girls. And some of y'all got 3. Okay, 1, 5, 3. That's another problem. So we just got to be real. And I know we're in Mississippi, right? And we got everything. We like everything to be, Democrat, Republican, right? And Republicans are Christians, and Democrats going to hell, right? That's not true. But that's what I get from some of the churches around here. Okay, that I see some of my brotherhood where I go. Okay, right? But I'm in the moderate. I'm in the middle. Okay, and I don't think everybody's right on both sides. Here's an area that our hard left and right's got to chill out. Okay, because they are transgender people. I can show it to you if you want, and I won't do it on no way down there, but I'll talk about that a little while. We can't deny that, okay? And so we just need to embrace and love everybody, okay? And tolerance would be good. But it's just not crazy, but this is a very cool thing. How many of y'all put hydrocodone on the beach team? Everybody, right? Little swab of chemtrails you buy at Walmart, Walgreens. That is a anabolic steroid that stops inflammation that you make in your body. But because it's a steroid, you put it on and it goes in and affects it and stops the pain. Anybody know somebody taking insulin? I know you do. Are they rubbing that on their arm? No. Are they taking a little pill? No, because it's a protein hormone. It has to be injected into the bloodstream because it can't go through the skin. You got a friend, Uncle Billy going bald, he's taking testosterone, you can rub that on your head, you can rub that on your arm. Yeah, they got it like a roll-on, and you can get more testosterone if you're losing testosterone as you get older. You ain't got no mojo, guys. Okay, we got drugs for that, okay? And girls, if you're not, and I beg my mother this, when you go through menopause, I take estrogen, that way you'll keep your hormones level and not change your personality. You know?
I need to get my mom.
My mother is not the same woman that raised me. I love her death, but she's been like 20 years now. She took it for like 10 years, and then it does have side effects, and she quit taking it. And my dad was testifying in court, like, I love her, but it's not the woman I married for 30, 40 years.
My mom who started it, she's the most moody person.
Get her on estrogen, okay? They get better. Because there's still a period where you just gotta get over it. I mean, still that transition to menopause and stuff. But anyway, is this not cool? This is really cool to me, right? So there are two ways hormones work. Steroids are fats, and they go through the cell membrane, and then proteins have to bind, okay? And then we went through that, and then we went to the hypothalamus pituitary gland. This is so cool. It has an anterior lobe and a posterior lobe. Look at all look at all the hormones they make. I think we got a little table here showing it. Here we go. So here's the two lobes. The posterior lobe, we'll do it first. Head, eyes will be pointed that way. Has two hormones. One of them controls blood pressure called antidiuretic hormone, ADH. So when blood pressure is falling, ADH goes and puts in the blood, goes to kidneys, and makes them reabsorb water, and blood pressure goes up. The other one is very interesting. It triggers child labor. Not child labor. It's not like I'm making somebody work on a fail, but labor as in birthing. So this is the hormone that goes from your brain to your uterus and says, get the alien out, and you go into labor. Okay, and it gets higher and higher and higher until you chunk the kid out. Okay, but it's one of the rare positive feedbacks in nature. It also triggers the milk to fall down in the breast during breastfeeding. So if you hear a baby crying, you start making this, and the milk starts running out, and it's very disturbing for women that don't understand the science behind that. When your body starts releasing milk, and you can't stop it. And that actually happened with my wife. That's the day she quit breastfeeding our oldest. Okay, so we were all bottles after that. Okay, and then the anterior lobe. There it is talking about the breast milk. The anterior lobe then is going to make these 5 hormones that have huge effects. Several of them control, 4 of them actually control other endocrine glands. Look at this. FSH and LH control the male and female reproductive system. So your entire reproductive system is controlled by the brain controlling the anterior pituitary, making those 2 hormones. Kind of a little sexism here. They get their name from their function in females. So we studied y'all first because men were doing all this research. I'm being honest, there's a bunch of men. And I guess they were like we were saying, living with these women, like we got to figure them out, man. We've been worshiping and researching y'all for a long time. So we named them after y'all, and then later on, a few years later, like they did the same thing in men. I mean, men reproduction is controlled with the same 2 hormones, okay? And we'll talk about that later. Growth hormone makes every cell grow. If you break a leg or get in a bad car wreck, they may give you growth hormone to heal better. People take it all the time illegally. You can also take it. They didn't have it available in 1978 when I was in 8th grade, but today it is available. And my daughter actually asked to get it, but it was involved a shot, so she chose not to get it. I told this joke yesterday, when she was in the 7th grade, came up to me. I thought she was pregnant or something. She's like, sit down, I got a lot to talk to you. This is a lot of that. And I'm like, I'm gonna kill you if you're pregnant. Because I've been teaching birth control for 30 years, right? I mean, come on, man. I done showed her what to do, how not to do it, and I would say don't date till you're 30 is my personal advice. Don't even date till you're 30. Trust me, just wait till you're 30, okay? Okay, but anyway, she said, I'm the shortest person sent over to junior high, do something about it. She's 5 foot tall. And she said, everybody's taller than me. And she said, I don't like this or this. I say, get rich, get what you want. You can buy those things, right? You can have all kinds of implants in your butt and calves and ankles and, big baby, one big butt, we can do that, okay? But I said, you pay for it, I ain't paying for that. But when she hit something I dealt with, height issues in high school, I took her to the doctor, we tested her, she was short enough to be legally given injections. It's like $2,000 a shot, and it came down to how tall you want to be. You want to be a 6'3" model, we can do that. And she's like, they pulled that big needle out, and she just had a religious moment. She said, Lord just told me to be short. She's 28, she's 5'1". She's Park Ranger in Columbus. So I'm 3 inches taller than her. I'm taller than her, okay. But how many, is anybody here like being taller? I like like to be like 6'6" myself, okay? I'm the shortest person in my mama's family, all the other boys are like 6'2", and I'm 5'6" on a good day. Anyway, everybody happy, you're happy with your height, okay, don't anybody see a couple of short folks in here like me, anybody else like a little taller? Okay, everybody's good, okay. But anyway, I would have took a whole lot of that, I'd like to be 7'7" in an NBA ball game. Maybe a giantism, I'd like that, okay. But anyway, but we all want things we don't have, right? That's the way it usually goes. But fascinating hormone, a lot of abuse in this one, a lot of people are abusing this now. Sylvester Stallone don't look right. Watch Rocky and then watch him now. He's been shooting this every day for 30 years. And it makes your head real big. We'll see a picture in a minute. ACTH controls the adrenal gland. We're going to talk about it in a little while. And the thyroid gland is controlled by TSH. So this is, and that's the gland that sets your metabolic rate. We'll get that in just a second. But fascinating, matter of fact, a lot of times this is called the master gland in a lot of books or in circle science, because this controls, then they have what? 4 hormones that control other ones. The only one that doesn't do anything in man is prolactin. Prolactin triggers milk production when a woman's pregnant. No effect in man. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I forgot to put this other way. And this and oxytocin that causes women to go in labor, it's called the cuddling hormone in men. Okay, girls. How many of y'all have a boyfriend that cheated on you? You know you did. When this is like Jerry Springer, raise your hand. If you just shot him with this every night, he'd be like hugging you and cuddling and never looking at another girl. So this is a hormone in the birds that mate for life. It's real strong in some of these animals. They're animals that mate for life, and they're men that cheat on their wife. They ain't got enough of that hormone. So you could actually, they said you could shoot somebody up, they would never cheat. They'd be watching Oprah crying every day, watching soap operas or whatever, But it's called a cuddling hormone. So studies have shown men that cheat on their wives have low levels of that. Just FYI. So inject him every night, 3 in the morning, he'll be good. Give him a shot every morning when he's sleeping. Okay, all right. But anyway, pretty cool. All right, I think we're ready to move on. And then, okay, this is just showing you how the pituitary works. It makes the thyroxine, TSH goes to thyroid, and then you make T3, T4, and that's the hormone that controls your metabolic rate. So we got a lot of negative feedback here, right? So if you got too much of this, it goes to the brain, cuts it off. So all of these work by negative feedback, except for childbirth. It's positive feedback. Here is giantism. Look at that boy's hands are bigger. Look at that head. See how big that head is? This is a disease called acromegaly, which is too much growth hormone post-puberty. I don't have time, but there was a book I taught out for 30 years, had a picture. I can Google it real quick. It's on the internet. I just don't have time. They didn't saw it. But it's got this little girl at 8, and she screws her butt. Got her at 15, and she's an attractive 15-year-old. She did not sit home on Friday night unless she wanted to. Then it had her at 26, and they're like, get a little homely. The head's getting big. She started to look really, I'm just going to call it, I'm ugly. I call ugly. I'm the ugliest person in the room. All y'all are cute. I hate y'all. Y'all look very nice looking people. I'm the ugliest person in the room. I'm living with it. I'm in therapy. It has her at 58, my age now, and that woman don't need nothing but a sack of candy and a stool, trick or treat, and put her in the front porch. Scare the little children. Big old head, big old face. I had an aunt that died with this. I mean, big old hands get big, and that's why Sylvester Stallone's head is big. Because he's been shooting, it makes your ears and your external parts get gigantic. See how the heads get big? So anyway, don't overdo it. And they can actually now treat this. If you have a gland making too much, they can just kill that part of the pituitary. And once you're 22, you don't need to grow anymore. That's pretty much when we stop growing. All right, let's talk about the thyroid gland. Okay, now this is one that I have a little bit of personal experience with, a little bit of fun here. This is kind of, I know it took 25 minutes to go back over all I did, but it's still good stuff. Okay, so this gland makes 2 hormones called T3 and T4 that have iodine in it. This is the only place in your body where you use iodine. So all the iodine you eat in your diet goes to the thyroid gland to make these 2 hormones. T3 has 3 iodines, T4 has 4 iodines on it. And this is the hormone that affects every cell of your body and controls your rate of metabolism, how quick your engine is outrunning. What I mean by that is, remember cellular respiration, eat sugar. Every cell of your body has a little engine making ATP. And how many of y'all, and I know I got some guys, and I know women that did this too. How many of y'all mow the yard? Anybody mow the yard? You girls ever see mow the yard? Okay. You see daddy or brother mowing the yard, right? And you got the right lawnmower, and you got the little throttle on the left. So you crank it, and you put it down, put it back, and it's like, that's why you got to mow at that speed. There's a little nick there, a little notch to mow it. Okay, now look around the room, and I'm going to be very careful not hurting anybody said today. Because I did this one time, and I got in trouble. Okay, I made a little girl crying. I don't want to make anybody cry. Okay, So I'm gonna pick on my guy right here, okay? You know, you look very healthy, and my two girls over here, y'all look very healthy, and I am not hitting on y'all. Oh man, I'm just calling it fact. Y'all have like 2 ounces of body fat between the three of y'all, okay? If I took you to the lab today, your T3 and T4 levels would be high, if not above normal, okay? And your engines are running like that, full throttle. Me and Nathan are running, and actually he's in much better shape than me, but I know Nathan, we talked before, he probably has the same problem I do. Maybe he don't. I can look at the Twinkie and get a pound. My engines are running like this. So you eat a pizza and it's all right here. There are only 3 things that make change that metabolism rate: crystal meth, cocaine, and exercise. So if I go to the gym and start running, I've lost 100 pounds. Now I'm about to go do it again, but I figured this would give me a heart attack and I'll die. So y'all probably read about me dying in the newspaper. The last time I did it, the thing was I would have to lie about my age because it would cut off. And I'd get where I could ride and look for 3 hours. And it'd be like, how old are you? 20. And it's like, okay. I put 45. They were like, whoa, straight stop. They stop stopping. I mean, but it was like for 6 months of me doing it, getting up to that. First time I got on, I went 3 minutes to throw up. I mean, literally got off and you know, had to go to the bathroom. Me and Oprah have the same DNA. We got to go to the gym every day with the weekend. Okay, and I really have to count calories. Some of y'all will never have to worry about this, especially the men. But you women, if you have a mama that got kind of big after having kids, menopause screws up the hormones, and you just go have 3 or 4 kids and call it. It will mess you up too, right? If you ever know friends again, once you have babies, it can really throw this system off too. But this is a hormone that controls the rate of metabolism. When I was y'all's age, about 2 or 3 years old, y'all, I went to Ole Miss working on rats. They made me do a blood test to not give the rats age. And the doctors called me, and I had one hormone low, and this was abnormal level, which means I will wear Huskies and I will be fat unless I run every day. Okay, I wish I had my levels when I was 7 years ago. I did half known I went 27-mile hiking one day. My doctor and I were talking about it the other day. He was with me. It's the only time in our friendship I was in better shape than him. And I left him on the back. I got down to the truck where he did. I actually got off of that mountain and my phone was dead, and I had to call a guy that was driving around and pick us up. So I had to go to like the store and ask somebody to let me borrow their phone, and I had to walk 28 miles. I mean, I looked like really tough. I mean, I was like people looking like, look at this guy. Stay away. You see little people like kids. It was dangerous. And I'm like, can I borrow your phone? I need to call my wife, to call my best friend to come pick me up. Because I don't have a phone. I don't know his number. I just knew one number. Anyway, this level, exercise makes it go up. And that will make you rile up, and you can eat. You can eat a lot. You can eat, you're burning it quicker. But that is so cool, and we spend a lot of time talking about obesity and all this. This could be given to people on The Biggest Loser, and they could lose 200 or 300 pounds. The reason they don't give it to them because this also controls a thing called sanity, and your brain personality. So it can be very dangerous taking a lot of this. Just like people doing cocaine and heroin and speed and I guess crystal meth that affects the brain too. So super cool. Only place in the body where iodine is used. Hypothyroidism is children born without thyroid. And if you're not getting injections by the age of 7 or 8, then you're mentally retarded. You would be in a mental institute, or you never develop past 8. I have a cousin of mine who had a child who did not have this thyroid gland, but they caught it 3 days after birth, and he was injecting thyroxine his whole life. He's a preacher in business today. He got to 7th grade, he was about 5 foot tall, and the doctor goes, do you want to be taller? And he goes, yes, I would like to play football. He's 6'6". So they jacked him up, with THS, with this, and the body growth hormone, and he was a big man now. I mean, really is kind of amazing what you can do with this. But anyway, and then very low levels is, people without thyroid. And overextension, Graves' disease, you get the bubble eyes. This lady has it here, the thyroid swelling in the neck. And this is a pretty common, there's a little baby born without thyroid. This is a girl who has excessive thyroxine levels, and your eyes bubble out like you get these pop eyes, okay? Which is characteristic of that. But once again, iodine is a big deal with this. We're very concerned about nuclear disasters and like Chernobyl and stuff, because radioactive iodine is released and it will kill the kids' thyroid. So there were children in Russia and Japan that had those 2 nuclear reactor accidents that was affected by this. Somewhere in Sanatoga, there's a box of iodine pills to give every kid in town if we have a radiation meltdown or if we get a nuclear war. So we're over, I mean, so if you're grown and you don't need it, to have little children who get radioactive iodine, kill the thyroid, and they will never develop properly. So a little history there. Also makes a hormone called calcitonin that raises, lowers blood calcium levels. It takes calcium and makes bones build up. And then the other gland here, parathyroid gland, which is right stuck in here, it lowers calcium levels in the blood. So one raises, one lowers. So I actually missed this one on the test when I took this course years ago. So I made a little song. Calcitonin takes calcium to the bone, thereby making bones grow, lowering blood calcium levels, and parathyroid raises it up. So God made 2 of the 28 hormones we talk about do nothing but what? Control calcium levels. Isn't that kind of cool? Because make bones, and remember muscle, I don't want to cuss, remember muscle contractions from a couple chapters ago? Calcium is very important, okay, in the body. And these 2 control calcium levels by homeostatic mechanism right there. You get too high, we make calcitonin and it pulls it out of the blood to the bones. And if it gets too low, we break our bones down by parathyroid hormone, which is in the thyroid gland, and you raise it. Pretty cool. Okay, then we have the 2 paired adrenal glands. It looks like a Star Trek emblem. Okay, the middle layer is called medulla, and it is directly connected to the sympathetic nervous system, and it releases epinephrine and norepinephrine, which is called adrenaline when you get scared. So remember our fight or flight we talked about, the sympathetic, that's the hormone by the adrenal gland release. Now, you know where the adrenal glands are located, right, with the kidney, so they must have something to do with the kidney, right? And come to find out, this outer layer, so we got a good picture of this. I don't have a good picture, sorry, I'm just jumping around. This outer layer has 3 layers. Actually, I mentioned it here, 3 layers. One layer makes mineral glucocorticoids, aldosterone. Another is glucocorticoids, cortisol. I have a cortisone shot injected when I need to stop inflammation. But cortisone modifies sugar metabolism in the body. And then there's a 3rd layer, so it's all steroids. There are glucocorticoids, mainly cortisol is the most famous one. Mineral corticoids, aldosterone is the one that lowers blood pressure. Super important. So this is the way the kidneys regulate themselves by making aldosterone being made. But then there's a 3rd layer that I don't think our book is going to mention here. Let me see if it does. I'm kind of jumping around here. The 3rd layer, there's the glucocorticoids, cortisol, and then aldosterone promotes renal glucose sodium. But the 3rd layer, and then here is talking about how the renin angiotensin complex is really interesting, which I mentioned it in the video the other day. I'm going to watch it on the other one, but the kidneys monitor blood pressure, and if blood pressure falls, they release a protein called renin that goes into your bloodstream, and you end up making angiotensin 2. And actually, there's an enzyme in the lung that does this. This constricts arteries, the smooth muscle in arteries, and raises blood pressure, and thereby is a good thing. But when I went to the doctor back in Christmas, my blood pressure was like 160 over 110. And my best friend, the doctor I was telling you about, put me on a chemical that blocks the binding site for angiotensin 2. And I took those pills, and about 4 hours later, took my blood pressure, and it was 120 over 70. And that's the number one cause of hereditary genetically linked high blood pressure. Is you make too much this angiotensin 2, and we don't know why. Doctors don't know why. But we have a treatment for $8 a month, and my blood pressure is normal now. And there it is, showing how that can kind of work. But I was going to tell you that 3rd layer. You see here, here's some malfunctions of this. Nothing much here. Too much Addison disease, insufficient secretion of the adrenal cortex, and you get dehydration, weight loss, and hypertension. Cushing disease syndrome is when you get too much cortisol, and your hands get your skin changes color. John F. Kennedy had Cushing disease. This is why he always looked tan in the pictures. But he actually had this disorder. And here's one with you get these build up of these tumors with some of this, with the Cushing disease. The other one I got to mention, this is where I thought we'd have a little fun with this, but there's a 3rd layer of this book. I think this in the reading, but it's not in the PowerPoint. There's a 3rd layer that makes sex hormones. And so you girls make testosterone in your adrenal gland, and men make estrogen there. Now, I don't know for sure, we don't know for sure what's going on with the people who really, when they're 15-year-old and I'm a boy, but I feel like a girl trapped in a boy's body, or a boy trapped in a girl's body. But what we do know is this: there are hermaphrodites born. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Hermaphrodite is somebody with both male and female genitalia. That is a really externally, we can look at their genitalia and they will have a penis and a vagina both. And these people almost, and the studies in America, we never seen anybody yet on earth, not going, but we know as soon as I say something, nature will prove me wrong. But every one of these people we study have a tumor in their adrenal gland. So in development, they make too much of both hormones. They make too much estrogen and testosterone, and whichever, they both go down there and make both genitals form. And so my simple Ron Robison, average IQ here, maybe a little above average. If you can be skewed externally, is there anybody in this room would like to be stupid enough to argue that at least the possibility that people are skewed mentally and sexually? Because I can tell you, if you go home and type in, and don't do this on Northwest Internet, they'll come arrest you. But if you type in hermaphrodite, you will see pictures of these people in medical photographs online, and it will also take you to porn because some of them are porn stars. And they go both ways, literally. Okay, I'm not saying look at that, but let's look at the medical pictures. But it is shocking when you see that what we think is this everybody's boy or girl is not true. Okay, that is not true. It's pretty rare, but it happens. So I would say if you are a boy and you get estrogen hit your brain, you have a mind of a girl, even though you are a boy. And vice versa. You could be a girl, right, and get testosterone tumor, and then you have the thought of a man, even though you're a girl. And that may very well be my friend Samantha used to be, and I forgot it. I think it's whatever, I couldn't remember her new name. Okay, but we hugged each other, and we had a really good time. And I said, hey man, I said, if I have some kid, he wants me fast, I'm really struggling, I'm gonna give you your number. She said, I'd love to talk to him, because it was really hard for her, you know what I mean? And I think that's where a social group of people that have done that have had that issue could be big help. Was that not, does that blow your mind or what? I mean, we didn't get that in high school, did we? You know what I mean? I sure didn't get that in Sunday school. But that is nature. And it's in other animals too. Hermaphrodites are pretty common in animal kingdom. Okay. So I go back to the main Bible verse, something in the Bible. Love your neighbor as yourself. If we just all do that, we solve a whole lot of problems, right? If we just love everybody and just be tolerant of each other. Okay, there's cortisol, very important for sugar metabolism. Y'all don't remember this, but somebody came out with a weight loss pill that was a lie called Cortislim. So they took cortisol and called it Cortislim. I was like, dude, that's money. Now we got patent that, right? And it's just probably a sugar pill. Yeah, because there's no regulation of any weight loss products. That's just all Barnum Bailey, snake oil. Okay, if you ever know, that crap. It's just, there's no regulation. Okay, aldosterone, we've been there, done that, done that. Okay, enough about all that. Moving on. All right, and I'd say the most famous hormone other than estrogen and testosterone is insulin, right? So insulin made by the pancreas, the endocrine section of it, lowers blood sugar. Glucagon causes the cells to release sugar, and your liver feeds you in between meals by glucagon. Diabetes is a very serious condition where people do not have blood sugar or sugar in their blood. They have too much high blood sugar. And so they have to take insulin injections. If you're type 1, you don't make insulin. Type 2, which is way more common, they make insulin, but the cell receptors are fried and the receptors don't work. And I always think about when you're at Walmart and you step on that little mat and the door opens, insulin is like, it's not opening, the door ain't opening, so the hormone's not working, okay? And so that's a big problem. There they are, right there. And then here's talking about the history of discovery of insulin, and they want to know Nobel Prize for that. And we already mentioned testosterone makes male sex hormones that make men, and estrogen makes women, and progesterone is the hormone that tells your brain you're pregnant, right? And that's the birth control pill. I do like this one. We'll end this real quick. Anabolic steroid abuse. Men are bald, women get deepening of the voice. They also get acne real bad, severe acne, and then this roid rage. There've been several of these people, professional wrestlers and professional weightlifters who admitted to steroids. Their statistics of killing their family are way higher than average Joe. Okay, so there is some road rage. There's some rage with steroids been associated with that. Cholesterol problems, they will stunt your growth. They will stop growth of long bones. And I thought it was really funny because if I were to take steroids, and I did, I got a real good shape, and I would like to look real muscular, that'd be attractive. If I was looking to my wife left me or something, I might go do that. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, but you take all these drugs to impress women, and then you can't get an erection, and you can't. That would be kind of defeating the purpose with it. All right, good stop here. Melatonin makes you sleep at night. This is the hormone that makes us sleep at night. You can buy that at Walmart to sleep better at night. And thymus gland makes one hormone called thymosin that causes you to make more immune cells. Okay, and so that sleep at night cycle. Leptin was thought to be going to cure obesity. This is one that makes you feel full. It doesn't work in humans. They've already tried it. Erythropoiesis causes you to make more red blood cells. I already mentioned that. That's made by the kidney. It's a real famous hormone. And then we'll end it with this last one here. Prostaglandins are localized hormones made by your cells that alter how they respond to other hormones. So it's a kind of weird group of local hormones. Okay. Good deal. Have a good day. We'll stop and I'll go to the next chapter bar. We should get them done over the other 2 days. Thank y'all for being awake and speaking to me a little bit, but just be tolerant of people, because there's a lot of